Hey guys, how's it going? This is Khavrion, and I'm here with another battle report. Today we are doing the report for Round 3 of Vaulsc's Tabletop Simulator League Season 4. The mission is a Vaulsc custom mission, EDX operations, and I think EDX probably stands for Electronic Dance Expo. So let's go ahead and look at the mission. So in EDX operations, there is a mosh pit in the center of the board represented by an objective room, and you get points for dominating the mosh pit by having none of the other guys' troopers in the mosh pit. And then there are 5 speakers planted throughout the board, and you have to run up and activate them so that they're playing the synth patch from your side. The layout of the board is actually somewhat similar to Engineering Deck from previous seasons. There are 4 consoles located here, 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 and here. And then the map doesn't show it down here, but there's another console located in the middle. And these are the loudspeakers that you have to connect. So for scoring, this mission adopts something of a Vaulsc standard of having scores be determined at the end of a player turn rather than at the end of the game round. Now, normally I think that this kind of arrangement kind of favors the first player in the sense that if you're going second, in order to stop the first player from scoring on their turn, you have to put your troops out there, which the first player can then kill, and now you're short those troops when you have to go and try and accomplish the thing if you're going second. So for other Vaulsc missions like Temple War, I do kind of feel like going first is favored in that regard. But if we look at this mission, I do kind of feel like going second is a little bit more okay than I might initially have expected. So here's the breakdown. You get 2 objective points for having more connected consoles at the end of the first player's final turn and at the end of the second player's final turn. So basically, at the last round of the game, there's 4 points, and you get 2 points each if you have more connected consoles. Likewise, there's 4 points associated with the objective room, being the only person to have surviving troopers inside the objective room, and again, that's broken down in the same way as the connected consoles. So scored at the end of each player turn rather than at the end of the round. Then there is 1 point for killing more specialists, and 1 point for having 4 or more connected consoles at the end of the game. It's these last 2 bullets which, in my opinion, give the second player a little bit more of an advantage that helps offset the advantage that I think player 1 might get. Specifically, if player 1 goes out there and pushes more consoles at the end of player 1's turn, they have to do that with their specialists. And then the second player can kill those specialists that have gone wandering around the board pushing buttons. Likewise, if you're going first, it's going to be really hard for you to get 4 or more connected consoles at the end of the game without really just tabling your opponent. Whereas if you're going second, you have a little bit of an advantage in that because it's the end of the game rather than the end of the turn. That's those 4 console points. So at first read, I did kind of think that EDX operations would be favoring first turn just a little bit because I think that missions that score at the end of the player turn favor going first a little bit. But having played it, having had to look at it a little bit more, I think it is more balanced than I was otherwise expecting. And my final conclusion sort of for now is I've only played this twice, but I really liked the mission, and I think I really want to give this one a lot more shots. It may be one of my favorite of Vaulsc's missions. It's too early for me to lock that assessment in, but I do quite like this, so we'll see how that goes. Couple other things that I do think are worth bringing up in the context of the objective room and the map layout specifically. So there is this exclusion zone. The other thing that's important is these doors are S2, so that's going to play a factor in the game. And the room is a saturation zone. So you shoot into the room and you lose a burst if that's happening. So that kind of makes the room a little bit less of a death trap than you might otherwise be expecting. Oh, and I didn't bring up the fact that engineers get a +3 to the roll, but they don't get to roll twice, so it's just a +3, so kind of a halfway advantage. Otherwise, that's pretty much the mission, so let's go ahead and get started. I am running the big boy list in the Steel Phalanx. We've talked about it before, but I do want to bring up a couple of things that are important in the context of this particular game. One, I basically have 2 attack pieces. I have Achilles, I like him a lot, and then I have an Anomatarchos of Akmon, Machaon, Phoenix, and Ajax. I could put Akmon with Achilles, I could put Hector into there, but basically there's just 2 attack pieces, and that's kind of all that's there. Also, there's only 2 specialists. You have Machaon and you have Akmon. Akmon's an engineer, so we'll get the +3, but those are the only 2 that are present, so if they die, then I can't push any buttons. And as we'll see, killing specialists to prevent the other guy from pushing buttons is actually a big part of this particular game because it's one of the best ways that you can prevent your opponent from scoring the consoles on your opponent's turn to score the consoles. And this is approximately my opponent's list. Now, it doesn't add up to 300 exactly, so I'm definitely missing some parts of this, but there was cyber masking and hidden deployment going on, which meant that I didn't quite get an accurate read on what was going on here. So this is kind of a recreation as I remember it. I'll go over the most important pieces, though. So there is a Raptor with a Spitfire. He's going to be doing some of the attacking. There is a total reaction bot somewhere. I can't remember the name of this thing. I guess it's a peeler down here. And it will be taking some annoying pot shots along the way. Cho is the lieutenant. She is hiding as a Varangian. There are 2 Varangians. Then there's Liang Kai. The idea with Liang Kai, my opponent mentioned, is that he would be good at super jumping and martial artsing and stealthing into the room, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then let's do a specialist count. Now, in terms of specialists that are on the board when my opponent deploys, there are basically 3 convenient specialists. There is this Gangbuster, there is this Cyber Ghost, and there is this Monster Trucker down there. Of course, I think there's also this Fuzzbot, which is also technically a hacker, but it's S4 and it's really slow. So if he's pushing buttons with that, you know, things are going my way. These are the only 3 specialists I saw. So I thought if I'm able to kill, the one specialist that is on the left-hand side of the board, for example, then I will have a significant advantage in button pushing. However, this list has 2 more hidden deployment specialist, has a Razor forward observer, and it has a Lynx specialist operative. And both of these guys were guys that I, really didn't see coming. I spent a lot of the game thinking that there was a drop troop or maybe a hidden deployment sniper rifle, and so that was something that was really interesting. Also, I think the Epsilon basically didn't do anything the whole game, so I kind of thought that Cho was hiding as the Epsilon and that there was a sniper or something that was going to pop out and shoot someone. Now, Sniper isn't that scary against Steel Phalanx, especially my list. I mean, we're all very tough, and we all have lots of mimetism. So I think that the Sniper Rifle wouldn't have bothered me that much. But, just kind of looking at it, doing an SWC count, thinking that the Epsilon was fake, seeing that there were 2 slots missing somehow, I thought that this was going to be a hidden deployment sniper. And it wasn't. It was actually 2 more specialists, which turned out to be really useful for this mission. And the reason it turned out to be useful is because, as we'll see, part of my strategy, part of my opponent's strategy was trying to kill the other guy's specialists to prevent them from pushing buttons, and having 2 hidden deployment specialists really made it so that I was basically never going to kill his specialists. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at deployment. I don't exactly remember what my opponent's list was, so I can't quite get this exactly right, but I'll talk about some of the pieces as I see them. There is a Varangian over there that you can't quite see. This is the Monster Trucker. This is the HMG TR bot, and it is looking down this lane. He'll get some annoying shots along the way. This is the Gangbuster. This is the Flash Pulse bot. The Lynx is hidden right there, although, of course, I didn't know that at deployment. This is the Evo bot. I think this is the Epsilon that ends up doing not much throughout the course of the game. This is a Varangian, but it's actually Cho, and this is Liang Kai. Then over here, we have a Varangian Flash Pulse bot. This is a Cyber Ghost, and then this is the Diva bot associated with the Raptor. The Raptor we can't actually see on the board. On the other hand, here's me. I'm running 10 orders, and I can get real compact. Looking at what my opponent's brought, I'm thinking there's got to be a drop trooper or something coming. So I really try to be pretty darn compact. I basically concede this entire half of the board. It was either concede this like half of the deployment zone or cram into it. I chose not to cram into it. I chose to cram into up here. I basically have Phoenix, Hector, Machaon, and Ajax, and then downstairs there is Akmon. I believe at this time it's maybe Machaon who's not in the link. I don't exactly remember, but I wanted Akmon to have the burst too. Then I have a Netrod here. There is actually a Netrod right there. It's going to get shot, but it failed to drop. I didn't have anywhere else to put it. Flash Pulse Bot, and Achilles. As usual, I withheld both Achilles and Hector, so I put Achilles here to stop the Rambo run of the Raptor, who is basically, kind of going to come around that way. So my opponent is going to go first. He is basically going to take the Raptor here and swing it around there, where he's going to bump into Achilles, and he's going to try to kill what he can, but ultimately I think he's going to put a wound on Achilles and kill a Netrod and then go into Suppressive Fire. Meanwhile, in Group 2, the Cyber Ghost is going to come up here, push the button, and then put a repeater right there. So a fairly conservative first turn, doesn't do a lot of damage, but I'm hunkered down pretty well. His Impetuous units also move up, and that's pretty much it. Here we can see the Cyber Ghost who's running up to push the button. and he does it. Then the Raptor begins moving out along. I think he started over here, so he's going along this way. Takes that gunfight with Achilles. I think I get lucky at some point down the line. My opponent is doing something which is kind of clever with the Raptor at this stage, which is that he's putting the Raptor here, and then he is slinging the Divabot forward. So ultimately, the Divabot is actually getting a lot of mileage forward, and I just can't shoot at it with Achilles because I need to contest the face-to-face with that burst 4 coming from the Spitfire. Things basically do work out okay for Achilles. He ends up taking a wound and going prone after absorbing a lot of orders. My opponent ends with the Raptor over here and the Divabot prone there behind that box. The Raptor, I think, ends up being in suppressive fire, and because of how he's positioned, it'll be kind of hard for me to get to see him, so that's going to eat some orders dealing with. Still, not that much damage was dealt. A wound on Achilles. I've lost a net rod. Otherwise, we're ready to get started for my turn. So basically what I'm thinking is he's got one specialist on my right-hand side, so over here, and he's got two specialists over here, the Monster Trucker and the Gangbuster. So I'm thinking that if I can kill the two specialists on the left-hand side of the board, he hasn't even pushed the console over there, he's going to be left with just one Cyber Ghost, and he's only going to push one button, so that's going to be a real hard time for him. I, of course, don't know about the two hidden deployment specialists, but I'm thinking, if there's 3 specialists available and I kill 2 of them, that's going to be worthy trade for Achilles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Achilles. I'm basically going to run him around to here, then to here, then all the way up to here. I'm going to kill this Raptor along the way. It'll take some orders, but I've got a lot of orders. And then I'm going to run up here and I'm going to kill the Gangbuster and the Monster Trucker. In practice, it only works out sort of okay. It takes more orders than I'm expecting to put the Raptor in the ground. He's in suppressive fire, he's got armor 3, he's got cover, and I've only got an AP Spitfire, so I think that it isn't super lucky for me. I think he tanks a little bit more than average, but expecting it to take a couple of orders is not that unreasonable. The really unlucky part, though, comes from when I get to here. I have now triggered the Gangbuster's Mad Trap, and I dodge. So I'm dodging on a 15, and I fail the dodge, and then I have to make a Fizz -6 roll, and I've got a 9 on that, and I fail that too. So Achilles ends up here, and he is immobilized. And before I did that, I then had to go also and shoot. There's a flashbulb spot there. I had to come up this way to shoot the flashbulb spot because it's a repeater, and I don't want to end up getting isolated. So here I have run out of a lot of the orders that I've spent along the way, and then I got trapped. So I don't really have that many orders left. I really don't know what specifically to do. So I'm basically thinking I got to make a play for this. I got to keep rolling with Achilles here. So what I end up doing is I dodge. I do succeed the dodge, and I dodge into contact with the Gangbuster so I can go cut his head off. But the problem is that, once I get there, I think I took a wound along the way. I don't think I put the token next to Achilles, but I've taken a wound along the way, and then there is a TR bot right here that ends up seeing me. I'm a little careless with how I dodge into base-to-base with the Gangbuster, and so after I explode the Gangbuster's head, the TR bot shoots me. The TR bot crits. It's on like 2s because it's shooting into melee, but it still crits, and then Achilles takes another wound from that. So Achilles ends up taking 2 wounds during this run, and I've only killed the Gangbuster. I haven't even killed the Monster Trucker. So the attack run really lost a lot of his momentum, and I wasn't able to cripple my opponent's army or kill all of his specialists in the way that I've been hoping for. Still, things aren't too bad for me. I could have been a lot better with my Achilles run, but I did kill a Gangbuster, I did kill the Raptor, I did kill the Flash Pulse bot, so he is really running low on attack pieces that I am scared of. It's just that, I was hoping to cripple his army and his ability to do the mission, and I didn't really accomplish that as dramatically as I would have liked. So here is basically where Achilles ends up. Again, I have misplaced his 2 wounds markers, but he should have 2 wounds at this stage. And it is my opponent's turn. So I think I took this picture after part of the impetuous orders were done. I believe this Varangian ran around the corner, shot at Achilles, and Achilles managed to dodge into there. I don't know that anything else has happened. Maybe this Varangian moved up. But ultimately, not much has happened. What he is basically going to do is he's going to take this guy, and he is going to use it to kill Achilles. And then I think he's going to take this guy, and he's going to run up and fix his bot. He may then have taken the Monster Trucker and gone to push this button in this console. I don't quite remember, but the point here is that the Monster Trucker did move up, and he, other than killing Achilles, he didn't really accomplish all that much in terms of damaging me. That said, I'm at this point focusing on playing the game, and I'm not taking as many pictures, so apologies for that. Okay, so then it is my second turn. This is actually the picture from my first turn. but so Achilles isn't there. I didn't take a picture at the start because I was focusing on the game. But basically, I'm going to try to take this Anomatarchos and start running with it. I'll reform so that Akmon is in the link with Machaon, Ajax, and Phoenix. We're basically going to run up to here and push that button, run over here to kill the monster trucker and push the button that's over there. And then we're going to try to end up inside the objective room to try to contest my opponent being able to get inside and do some damage on his third turn. Because if he gets a single guy inside that room, then I don't score the 2 points on his turn. It basically works out pretty okay. I'm able to use smoke fairly carefully, and I am able to kill the monster trucker. I'm able to push this button. I'm able to push that button. I'm able to push this button over here. I've still got basically 11 or 12 orders or something like that. 2 from Hector, and then 8 or 9 from the people that are surviving, and then I've got Akmon's order also. So I've got a ton of orders, and I'm able to run around and I kill some stuff and I push some buttons, but I'm hoping that I'm able to sit pretty and be able to contest his ability to both push the buttons and also get inside the room on his turn, each of which are worth 2 points to whoever has the most of them. Because remember, right now I'm thinking that the only guy that he has that can push buttons is a Cyber Ghost who is hiding up there. However, that's not the case. So this is the start of my opponent's turn 3. He has Liang Kai here. He also has a Hidden Deployment Lynx right here and a Hidden Deployment Razor FO right there. Meanwhile, I have positioned Phoenix near that doorway, Akmon sitting in that doorway, Machaon sitting in that doorway, and Ajax is sitting down here. He can't actually get inside the room because the doors are narrow, but he's hoping that if Liang Kai tries some nonsense, he'll be able to dodge or shoot or something like that. So I've left my opponent a lot to deal with, but if they're careful, then they can make a serious threat to my ability to score points on my turn. And if they can prevent me from scoring a lot of points on my turn, and they can, get points on their turn, then they might have a sense of being able to win the game in that regard. So a lot of the things that happen in kind of simultaneous order, so it's not like necessarily one thing's happening at the same time. But what I'll tell you is in sort of the easiest way to tell it. The simplest thing that happens is this Razor appears and basically runs all the way over here and pushes a button over on that side, getting him 2 consoles. So if he can steal one from me, then he's golden. The second thing that happens is this Lynx appears and runs up to push this console. In so doing, he's got to contest a lot of the guys that are, in my position, trying to contest just such a thing from happening. I think he's able to use this Varangian to run out and throw smoke in order to give himself some approaches in that endeavor, but he is successful at taking this Lynx and coming around and pushing that button. The next thing that he does is he brings the Lynx around to here in order to shoot Akmon. And here we actually forget about the saturation zone. The Lynx has a plasma carbine. It's a pretty good gun, but it's burst 2. So if he's using burst 1 against me, I also have burst 1. Yes, he's got MIM -6, but I got 2 wounds. I could be dodging. You could really easily imagine it taking a really long time to knock out Akmon at this stage, but we forget about that. We give him burst 2. I think he hits with both of them, and I fail 1 save off of each of the 2 BTS rolls and 1 save off of each of the 2 armor rolls, and Akmon goes unconscious. I had made Akmon the leader of the Anomatarchos because he seemed like the safest one, and also he is one of my 2 specialists, so that's really a dangerous situation for me to have him go unconscious. But so he goes unconscious, and that's the second kind of major thing that happens with this Lynx after pushing the button. The final thing that he has to do is he's going to try to take Liang Kai, and he's going to try to get Liang Kai inside the room. Ideally, he's going to kill Machaon, but failing to kill Machaon, he just wants to get inside the room, because if he's inside the room, then he denies me the 2 points I get from dominating the room. In this particular version, to dominate means you have to be the only person with dudes inside. So the way that he's going to try to pull that off, though, is a little bit tricky. Phoenix has a heavy pistol. The heavy pistol has shock. Liang Kai does not have shock immunity, so he's got to worry about that. Ajax is sitting right down here. Ajax is, of course, a tough customer. And then lastly, Machaon is up here as well. Machaon's no slouch, but Liang Kai has Berserk. So if Liang Kai can see Machaon, he'll Berserk Machaon and basically kill that guy. I'd be out both of my specialists, and I wouldn't get the room points, and he would have pushed more buttons than me. So if Machaon dies, then I'm really not in a good position. However, I think he's basically just not able to end up taking out Machaon. The issue is that it takes just too many orders to run around to that side. He's got to throw smoke. He's got to get around Ajax. He's got to get around Phoenix. And the other problem is that while he's doing a lot of this stuff, unless he is, just moving, I'm getting dodges. And I can't exactly remember why he's provoking dodges, but Machaon is able to basically just dodge away, and he ends up dodging all the way around to here, and he never gives Liang Kai line of sight, and because Liang Kai never has line of sight, he can't declare a Berserk, and because he can't declare a Berserk, he basically doesn't have any convenient way to actually run up and deal with Machaon, because if he runs up and he melees Machaon, if he Berserks me, Machaon dies, and that's a problem. But if he's just going to melee me, that's a coin toss, and he's also going to get seen by everybody else in the room. Maybe he kills Machaon, maybe he doesn't kill Machaon, but in the process, he may also die. So, Machaon dodging out of line of fire means that he's just not able to get the Berserk, which means he's not able to kill Machaon, which ultimately, I think, means that his strategy of trying to eliminate my specialists, while a good strategy, is not going to be successful here. So here we are at the beginning of turn 3. So this is Liang Kai, this is Machaon, poor Akmon, he's unconscious there, Phoenix is hiding there, you can't quite see him, and Ajax is present there. The game in a lot of ways is mine to lose at this point. I've still got to make work in order to get a win here, but I think I can make it happen. The first thing I have to do is deal with Liang Kai. I'm basically going to do that with Phoenix. I reform the link on him. He's got a burst 3 heavy pistol with shock, and he chases down Liang Kai and shoots him. I think it takes like maybe 2 or 3 orders to pull this off, but in the process, I'm able to move my link around in sort of a convenient fashion, and Liang Kai really is the major threat that's left, so that's kind of all I got to do. Next, I got to think about the room, but that's pretty straightforward. I basically take Machaon and I throw a clip smoke so that this Lynx won't be able to see me, and then I doctor Akmon up, and now he's going to stay in the room and be the solution. The last thing that I'm basically going to do is I need to push a button. The buttons are all kind of annoying. He has his TR bot here watching, this lane, so it's not going to be easy for me to get that way. He's got his Lynx there watching that doorway. This one is guarded by a whole bunch of stuff, so really it means that the button to push is this one over here, and it's pretty straightforward for me to do that. Basically what I do is I end up taking Machaon and I run all the way over here in order to try to push that button. My opponent, I think, gets some arrows for some reason with this razor, maybe on Phoenix, as Phoenix is doing something. I don't exactly remember. There are some mines. I have Phoenix run in and trip the mines. I throw smoke. I run in. I push the button. I even have like a spare order or two to do this, so it is fairly likely that I'm going to be able to push this button, and that means that I have more consoles than my opponent at the end of my turn, which means I get those 2 points. So at the end of the game, my opponent had more consoles than me on his turn, so he gets 2 points. I have more consoles than my opponent on my turn, so I get 2 points. At the end of my opponent's last turn, neither of us dominated the objective room, so that's 0 points. At the end of my turn, I dominated the objective room, so that is 2 points for me. And then I killed more specialists, which is bringing this to a 5-2 conclusion. So that was the battle. I really enjoyed playing this mission. I've played against this particular opponent in previous Vaulsc leagues, and I've enjoyed every game of that as well. But I think the major takeaway is that I was really blown away by this mission. I thought it was going to be a lot more straightforward and a lot less interesting than it ended up turning out to be. The strategy of going after and killing your opponent's specialists so that they can't push the buttons is something that I hadn't really thought of up until I was doing this one. And of course, my opponent having those 2 hidden deployment specialists, making it so that I couldn't, actually kill all of his specialists, so that I spent Achilles trying to kill guys that weren't even all the specialists on that side. Of course, that was a very good, trap that I basically fell into on that side. Anyway, that's pretty much the battle report. I hope that you enjoyed watching this one, and I will catch you guys later.